Now in this video, which is the second part of unit 2, we are looking into the emergence of public relations, where we'll be covering tracing the growth of public relations, the public relationships in India and reasons for emerging international public relations. Let us see how public relation has grown from the dawn of civilization till today. The origin of public relations can be traced back to the dawn of civilization. Now, in the ancient Egypt, the police were well versed in public relations by way of persuasion and information. The only public leaders were very talented and impressed upon the public. As a matter of fact, the first quality of a king, priest, nobles, scribes, and other leaders was to establish and maintain good understanding and relations with the different cross sections of the society. Thereafter, public relations came to be known in the national and the international games and festivals. The Olympic Games and the other noted national and international festivals reflect the interchange of opinion and development of interactions of publics in social, economic, political and spiritual activities, which resulted in the increased awareness and importance of public relationship. Rome is also known for public relations and public opinion. The auditory talent, historical writings, temples, statues, paintings and pamphlets of those days reflect the traditional media of public opinion. Thereafter, we come up to your American civilization. The groundwork for the present day public relations can be seen in the American civilization. The concept of public relations can be traced back to the presidency of Andrew Jackson in the US in 1830. The New York Sun 1833 inaugurated penny press and marked the beginning of mass media. Next we come up to the Industrial Revolution. Now in the earlier days, people tended to be independent and self-sufficient. The Industrial Revolution and the rise in the mass production translated the society into interdependent and made social, economic, political and spiritual system complex and interwoven. Today, with the extension of the communication media, public opinion has become more powerful, making public potentially more accessible to those who it wants to reach. There we came up to beginning of the public relations. The beginning of the public relations date back to early 1990s, which witnessed the big change in America. Attacks on industry, growing strength of the organized labor, and equally the development of mass merchandising, advertising and product publicity provided impetus to the practice of public relations. Ivy Lee, Carl Boyer and Edward Barnes were some of the pioneers in this field who undertook PR counseling during the turbulent period. It was in the mid-1930s that the business emerged from depression, giving a fillip to the public relations practice. Next we look into how public relations grew in India. Let us go into the old existence. Now, public relation is not something that has suddenly born. It always existed in India. In the modern times, we only tried to apply the principles of public relations to our human needs in a systematic manner. Most of the things of which public relation is made are not new. What is new is the system of thinking and conduct being assembled under the term public relations. The inscription of Mohenjo-daro shows that writing in India existing from the most ancient time. Development of Upanishads. One of the earliest works which tried to disseminate idea was the Upanishads. Dating from 800 BC, they propagated the Indian Aryan thought, particularly in relation to the knowledge of the individual self. The Upanishads that says that there is nothing higher than a person. We come up to public relations in Mahabharata. The Mahabharata is also known as a document of development of human thoughts. It contains the famous poem of 700 lines, the Bhagavad Gita, which is a repository of a most noble philosophy. Besides its philosophical aspect, the Mahabharata deals with principles which must govern a happy society, social welfare, not of the group but of the whole world. It constitutes the theme of the poem. It states the entire world of mortals is a self-dependent organism, and again, whatever is not conducive to social welfare or what you are likely to be ashamed of never to do. Arthashastra. In the 6th century BC, Pliny wrote his great treatise called as FYJC, a grammar of Sanskrit language. 2 centuries later, Kautilya, known as Chanakya, wrote his famous Arthashastra, the science of polity. Kautilya dealt with the theory and practice of the government, the duties of the king, diplomacy, war, peace, with a remarkable scholarship. Besides being a famous statesman, Kautilya was also the founder of the school of politics. His Arthashastra is often compared with the Prince written by Niccolo Machiavellian 18 centuries later. There we came up to King Ashoka. The great King Ashoka ruled over a large territory of India about 300 BC. He left his message carried on the rock and metal in numerous edicts scattered over his vast dominion. Speaking of public business, Ashoka declared, at all times and at all places, whether I am dining or in the lady's apartment, in my bedroom, or in my closet, in my carriage, or in my palace gardens, the official reporter should keep me informed of the people's business. At an hour and at any place of work, I must be for the common welfare. Ashoka's ambassador carried his message based on Buddha's doctrine of love and compassion to Syria, Egypt, Central Asia, Burma, and Thailand. The great king even sent his son and daughters, Mahendra and Sanghamitra, to Ceylon. His message was always an appeal to the mind and heart with a never trace of compulsion. Then we came up to Swami Vivekananda, who is known as the international public relations persons. Swami Vivekananda, the disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, wandered all over India from Himalaya to Kanyakumari to know about his motherland and offer solutions to the problems of the people. The pilgrimage of Swami Vivekananda was one of the most significant in his life and of great value to the professionals of public relations too, for enlarging on mass communication. Vivekananda's address at the Parliament of the Religious at Chicago was a very good example of international public relations. Then we came up to contribution of great saints. Great saints like Kabir, Tulsidas, Tukaram, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and a host of such godmen diffused knowledge through the traditional media of communication in the language which people could easily understand. Public relations personality of the 20th century was none other than Mahatma Gandhi. Now, Mahatma Gandhi is also known as the public relation personality of 20th century. He created a good impact in terms of the faith of the Indian classes. How did Bapu succeed in the mission of waging a war against the mighty British Empire? He believed in establishing contacts with those in India and abroad. He travelled length and breadth of India, organized many mass meetings and rallies. He spoke and talked tirelessly until he was convinced that the country has understood his mission. Gandhiji communication with his colleague and followers was based on the concept of credibility. This over a period of time generated mutual understanding between him and his countrymen. Next we came out to the House of Tatas. In 1892, the House of Tata founded the J.N. Tata Endowment. The founder had knowledge about corporate public relation. One of the earliest examples of public relation in India is provided by the Great Indian Peninsular Railway Company. The GIP Railway carried on publicity and public relation campaign in England for promoting passengers traffic. They utilized mass media and pamphlets to attract tourists to India. Now, how did public relation grew in the post-independence period? Now, this is the third phase of public relation in India, which started after 1947 when we got independence. For the first time, there emerged a parliament. An election to the state legislature took place. Here, the country adopted a socialistic form of government with specific measures such as Industrial Policy Resolution and the Industrial Development Regulation Act. The government and the business organization had to adopt a conscientious and deliberate policy of public relations against such a background. Then we came up to the growth of multinationals. In the late 50s and the early 60s, multinational companies like Hindustan Lever, Burma Shell, Dunlop India, Union Carbide and Philips India, they set up separate departments to execute their programs of public relations in a systematic manner. In the next phase, professional organizations of public relations practitioners were formed in Bombay and Calcutta. This was followed by the formation of Public Relations Society of India in 1958. Next one, we come up to the International Public Relations Association, which we call it as the IPRA, International Public Relations Association. Early in 1955, the International Public Relations Association was founded, which served as a catalyst in continuing development of the highest possible standards of ethics, practice and performance of public relations and of professional practitioners. From January 1983, the Public Relations Society of India National Council has chapters in Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, Kanpur, Visakhapatnam, Bhopal, Hyderabad, Madras and Cochin also. PR in India is fast emerging as an institution, especially with its growing acceptance as skilled and a specialized profession. Next, we come up to the reasons for the emergence of public relations. How did why did the international PR emerged? Number one is international understanding. Public relations are more necessary for international understanding. Why? Because there is an interdependence and interrelations between the countries. Issues particularly noteworthy of emerging public relations for international understandings are what? What are the issues? The energy, International Monetary Fund, International Court of Justice, economic organization and so on. Now these all issues definitely needs your public relations, your PR more stronger. For promoting corporate business, international fairs, festivals, exhibitions, these are the potential sources for international communication to promote cultural exchange. The participation of various countries in these fields and exhibition is an example of global interactions. Thus, countries and their modes of communication and interactions have assumed a new dimension with a new emphasis on promoting corporate business. Third one is internationalization, or what you call it as globalization of business. Internationalization or globalization became a subject of serious concern with regards to changing role of the profession in international public relations policies. The international public relations has assumed greater significance in the light of the recent changes that has taken place in the global business environment and policy changes. Just take the latest case of China, which is accused of spreading COVID-19. Here their PR will play a very important role. Fourth one is the social and cultural differences. Multinational corporations stand concerned that social and cultural differences may pose a difficult and different problems in the relations with the host countries. Multinationals coming into India. Now, when McDonald's came in India, it was not easily acceptable. Business problems are mainly arising on account of cultural differences. Successful marketing in the global context demands a thorough knowledge of the different cultures, attitudes and